Then you're looking at a $9 bottle of permanent marker and stain remover. Read the back label. 90% of what's in that bottle is water and fragrance. The one ingredient actually doing the work costs about 30 cents. And I'm not talking about some no-name brand. Specialty ink removal sprays across the industry are built the same way. A tiny amount of active solvent, a lot of packaging, and a price tag that assumes you'll never check the label. Here's the promise. What I'm about to show you costs less than $4, takes less than 60 seconds per mark, and that same bottle will still be removing marker off your walls, floors, and furniture a year from now. But before I show you how to fix this for good, you need to understand how we got conditioned to accept this in the first place. For decades, cleaning and stain removal brands have sold you on one idea. If it's marked specialty, it must be the only thing that works. They gave every stain its own dedicated bottle. One for grass, one for ink, one for grease, even when the active chemistry inside half of them is nearly identical. That's not chemistry. That's marketing. The industry figured out that a shopper standing in front of a dried marker stain, panicking, will grab whatever bottle says removes permanent marker on the front, without ever flipping it over. Here's the part they don't advertise. Permanent marker ink is just pigment suspended in a fast evaporating alcohol-based solvent. Once that solvent evaporates, the pigment is left stuck to the surface. That's the entire trick behind why it looks permanent. But it was never actually permanent. It just needs the solvent to come back, and that means removing it doesn't require a specialty formula at all. It requires one basic chemistry rule and one common liquid most people already own. Here's everything you actually need. None of it lives in the specialty aisle. Tip 1, 70-91% isopropyl alcohol. You'll find it at Walmart, CVS, or Target for around $3 to $4 for a 32-ounce bottle. A bottle that will outlast dozens of marker incidents. Tip 2. An alcohol-based hand sanitizer in case you're out and about and don't have the bottle handy. Same active ingredient, smaller dose. 3 for stubborn or aged stains. Then plain white toothpaste, not the gel kind, which acts as a very mild abrasive to help lift pigment off textured surfaces. Here's the science behind why the alcohol does the heavy lifting. Then permanent marker ink is held together by a resin binder dissolved in an alcohol-based solvent when it's wet. The chemistry principle at work is called like dissolves like. Alcohol is what carried the pigment onto the surface in the first place, so alcohol is what can carry it back off. When you reintroduce isopropyl alcohol to dried marker ink, it redissolves that resin binder, turning the permanent mark back into a liquid you can simply wipe away. Physings and chemistry don't negotiate. If the pigment went on in a solvent, the same class of solvent takes it back off. Quick safety note. Isopropyl alcohol is flammable, so keep it away from open flame, work in a ventilated room, and always check that your alcohol concentration and surface are compatible. Test in a small hidden spot first, especially on painted walls, finished wood, or synthetic fabrics. Step 1. Soak a cotton ball or microfiber cloth with isopropyl alcohol. Then, don't spray it directly onto the surface. Control the amount. Step 2. Press the cloth onto the marker stain and hold it there for about 10 seconds before you start wiping. This is the insider step most people skip. Most people rub immediately. That's a mistake. Give the alcohol a few seconds to actually redissolve the resin before you apply pressure. Step 3. Wipe in one direction, not in circles. Then, circular scrubbing just spreads dissolved pigment further across the surface instead of lifting it off. For painted walls or delicate finishes, dab rather than scrub, and re-wet the cloth often so you're always lifting ink onto a clean section of fabric, and not smearing it back down. If the stain is old, dried, or on a textured surface like grout or laminate, follow the alcohol pass with a small dab of plain white toothpaste, rub gently, then rinsed with a damp cloth. On the timeline, this isn't always an instant, one-wipe fix. Fresh marker, usually gone in under 30 seconds. Marker that's been sitting for months on a porous surface. It may take 2 or 3 passes. But here's the honest difference from what the label on that $9 bottle promises. This isn't a temporary fade. Once the resin is redissolved and lifted, it's actually gone, not just diluted. The question everyone asks at this point, will alcohol damage my walls, my furniture, or my skin? Fair question and worth answering honestly instead of glossing over it. On sealed, glossy paint and most hard, non-porous surfaces, isopropyl alcohol evaporates cleanly and doesn't strip the finish the way stronger solvents like acetone can. On unsealed wood, matte chalk paint, or certain plastics, it can dull the finish, which is exactly why the test a hidden spot first step matters. and why heavier commercial solvent sprays that use stronger chemicals like acetone or xylene actually carry a higher risk of damaging a finish than the alcohol method does. On skin, CDC and OSHA both classify isopropyl alcohol as safe for short contact use in the concentrations sold at retail, but they do recommend gloves for repeated or prolonged exposure, since it can dry out skin with heavy use. So wear a glove if you're doing more than a quick spot treatment. It's a 2-cent precaution. Compare that to what actually happens with a lot of specialty ink remover sprays. Many contain stronger industrial solvents at higher concentrations specifically because the brand needs the product to feel dramatically more powerful than a bottle of alcohol you already have under your sink. The irony is that a milder, cheaper, and more controllable ingredient is often the safer choice, not the more aggressive, more expensive one. Let's put the real numbers side by side one more time. A $9 specialty ink remover, mostly water, gets you through maybe 5 to 10 marker incidents before the bottle's empty. A $3.50 bottle of 91% isopropyl alcohol will get you through 100 of them, and you probably already own the toothpaste. The specialty ink and stain removal category is worth real money, precisely because most people never do this math. A $4 bottle that permanently solves the problem over and over for a household is not a business model, it's a business ending. And if this saved you money, hit the like and subscribe button. It genuinely helps other people who are overpaying for the same 30-cent fix find this video. Next time, I'm breaking down the multi-billion-dollar specialty glass cleaner industry and the 2 ingredients from your kitchen that outperform it, with the receipts to prove it. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.